same marketers and advertisers use now for symbol recognition, as well as implanting an idea into one's head, or basically suggestion to have not only the human body breakdown, but the implants that are supposed to be helping that piece of the body break down. So if I run you past a whole bunch of ads about liver problems, you're eventually going to start feeling your liver feel weird. You're going to go, maybe my implant is acting up or something. So, I mean, we're looking at basically pounding screws into people's heads until we get something that not only starts triggering their body's reactions, but also the implant's reactions. And what can you do from cascading and chaining attacks from implants to other parts of the body? Can you start making particular parts of the body start to feel weird and move in different ways, which then will affect, an outcome of a different one?
Yeah, what if Joe Grand or Bunny didn't care that, some microchip they wanted to look at was inside a person's body? They just wanted to still look at it.
So we're going to go over some real-world examples. These are based in technologies that are available today, and some stuff that's basically on the horizon for tomorrow, and the things that we've done research into to finding, the next generation of all this technology that's going to be put out.
Can we do a time check? Does somebody know what time it is? Okay, thanks.
Sure.
So like we mentioned in this matrix that we put up earlier, right, the focus today is on restoral, right, restoral technologies and integration. We sat and we would kind of like, well, let's, what are some scenarios that we can see today based on this, the fact that most of the implants and most of the cyborg engineering that's happening is really based in the medical commercial realm. And so one of the scenarios is that, well, what if I'm sitting at my help desk, or I'm just working at IT security at some big company, and I get this trouble ticket, and the CEO sends in a request saying, hey, the executive staff, we need to unblock the firewall to allow some remote medical monitoring equipment so that we can tell that the CEO's pacemaker is working properly. We want to enable some telemetry there. I'm not sure really. I mean, yeah, he's the CEO, so I'm probably going to go ahead and do that. But I think, it really depends on your policy. It really depends on a lot of things, right? It probably turns out that the CEO's health is probably really important, much more important than your policy. And you probably don't have a policy that really addresses that. You're going to go talk to your privacy folks? Yeah, they're going to solve it for you. So, it's going to be one of the scenarios where you have to think very carefully about that. And I was talking with a friend at Black Hat DC about this, and he said, actually, this happened to me. I got this ticket the other day. So this has already happened. Yeah. We're already modifying our infrastructure for this kind of stuff.
So from an attacker perspective, we've basically opened a direct hole to the CEO's laptop, as well as now know the channel that all of that medical information is being reported back. What if I decide that I want to sniff that information? Instead of doing something nefarious to the CEO, I just start charting his health and put up a page that has the stock price of the company next to each other, right? I mean, and at what point will shareholders start demanding that Jobs' liver implant is something that gets posted online so they can actually track health of CEOs? So we have a lot of interesting scenarios as a result of even the technology that's just available today. In development is a defibrillator iPhone app, which will monitor the status of said defibrillator. Don't know if this will have any control mechanism yet, but I love the idea of writing an iPhone app that detects that the defibrillator iPhone app is on there, and every time the microphone detects that you're near a Starbucks, it gives you a little jolt and wakes you up. I mean, so yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, I was like, I wonder if, Apple must be allowing some remote monitoring of Steve Jobs' condition. I mean, come on. So, yeah. I'll go back a second because I just want to cover the DBS stuff. I don't think we gave the numbers on that. When we were looking through the deep brain stimulator, where you saw that basically 4-inch piece of metal stuck in someone's head, there's 60,000 people walking around with that in the U.S. 60,000 people with a deep brain stimulator. Basically, it's a piece of metal inside their head, little wire running down to their chest, remotely programmable. Actually, when in the literature that you get after you get the surgery, they hand you 2 magnets, and this is how you sort of control the device. Great. I'm sure it makes them feel better, but still, yeah. So tomorrow, I think the focus is going to be on enhancements, right? Right now, most of that, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but the segments that are probably going to be looking at this, right now all that research is in the medical realm. It's going to leave that, go more into the commercial realm, or probably head into the do-it-yourself realm. And in fact, we've seen some of this go into the do-it-yourself realm with magnet implants and various other things that people have done to their bodies in order to do it. You want to talk about the pacemaker O-Day?
Sure. So we've done war driving and war walking and Wi-Fi scanning and nanny camera scanning, but a lot of these devices will respond when you ping them with something. They'll respond with an ID number. They'll respond with a version number. So I mean, the concept of basically driving through a neighborhood, initially a very affluent neighborhood, and figuring out which houses have implants, which houses don't have implants, or driving through a retirement community and seeing, oh, who's outdated, whose serial number has been decommissioned by the company that makes that particular device. And the concept of basically, terrorism becomes, I'm going to send a UPS package to a retirement home and it's going to kill half the people there. So we're looking at scenarios that become very, very black and white very quickly. So EMP rubber bullets, right? Like you might get hit in the back with a shmoo ball, but has a small EMP inside. You have an implant and it just wipes it out. 3 days later, you collapse. Nobody really knows why.
Yeah, I don't know how we're doing on time. So enemy hack of a sniper eye. So the Army is actually, or the military is doing a lot of work into this in a lot of different areas. But here's a scenario. You're a special ops person out in the field. You've got your cyber eye, and you're trying to take out a target from however far away. And Central Command is actually monitoring your visual data channel that's coming out of your eyeball. I don't know. I can't imagine in the world that data channel would be could possibly be unencrypted, and that remote forces would be able to get that information. Yeah, and maybe ideally, what if they could actually jam that channel right before you pull the trigger, or inject something into it? So.
All right, let's skip political hack.
Yeah, go to the spam.
Spam becomes much more interesting, right? Because we already have people that will take $20,000 or $10,000 and tattoo a URL on their forehead, right? For the last 15 years, e-ink tattoos have been in development, and they're still not quite ready yet. But the interesting thing is that you get a full sleeve tattoo, you go out to party, you have your sleeves turned on, you come back to work, you turn off your sleeves, you go to your board meeting. What happens when other images start showing up there? And what I think is interesting and entertaining is that a lot of people already self-brand. I mean, you probably know somebody that has a Nike or a McDonald's or a Zune tattoo or something, or an Apple tattoo on the back of their head. So now we have, okay, how much money does it cost for me to put a Starbucks logo on the side of your cheek every time you walk into Starbucks? Or, how much will people start selling pieces of their body for to just basically have scrolling ads as a result of having e-ink tattoos? So we're looking at, very clever and cool things. And, all of these things are going to have bugs. There's just no question that at some point or another, 4chan or somebody is not going to have some type of O-Day to start displaying unsavory images. And sadly, there's already been kind of perhaps not Cyborg, but a biological hack that 4chan has done.
Right. I mean, I'm sure all of you know about the 4chan attack against the epileptic websites, right? We're going to post images up there that cause them to go into a seizure. That's great. You're taking it. I mean, it's not great, but that's like, wow. I mean, that's fucked up. Appropriate use of a shmoo ball. Thank you. And that's not great. No, that's evil. Don't do it. That's bad. And or I'll throw a shmoo ball at you. But now it's taking advantage of that error processing, the erroneous processing in your brain. But now, what if I have the documents for the implant that controls your ocular implant? And now I know exactly what kind of bugs your firmware might have, and I can target that attack against you more carefully. And it's important to point out that a lot of the devices in this space right now are using things like Zigbee for their wireless communication. How many of you sat through a security talk about Zigbee recently? Okay, yeah.
It's totally broken for anyone.
Yeah. Right. I don't know if we mentioned that. Yeah, all this stuff is already fucked. Oh yeah, and so if your vendor for your implant goes out of business, oh sorry, we don't have any more firmware patches for you. So beyond, I think later on in life, we're probably going to get to that point where, there's a part of, my wife hates this, but there's a part of me that I want that magnet in my finger. I want that long-term addition of storage to my memory internal systems. I do want stronger arms or whatever. I want to be able. I want this ubiquitous. I want that heads-up display contact that lets me actually see and identify people that are coming to me. And I want that ubiquitous power computing grid on my clothing and on my body. I think it'd be cool, right?
And the other thing is technology moves ridiculously fast. If you look at the ports that are just on your laptop in the last 10 years, we've gone from parallel to serial to USB 2 to wireless USB to USB 3. And there's a certain point when things are no longer going to work, right? You're not going to be able to put a different implant or a different chip back into interface with whatever nerve to electrical interfaces we have, so you're going to be stuck with that.
Yeah, there's a slight problem with scarring.
Yeah. And so, I mean, if a company goes out of business and you've got 3-generation old technology, there's no taking that out. I mean, you're going to either degrade your quality of life